Okay,
Now they can.
okay, we're gonna get started with Paul Holt and the weekly road report.
So this week, we're just doing pretty much all shop maintenance. Cause it's too wet to do much outside, so we're just catching on a bunch of that stuff. Still waiting for the Brad's parts to come in for his truck. Been waiting for them injectors. They've been at least 6 weeks so far. Hopefully they're here in the next 2 weeks.
Who's truck? What?
That Brad's plow truck from Hall,
Hmm.
that Volvo. And just can't seem to get any parts. Def food's getting to be pretty hard to get, so we did get a pallet coming from Napa and Deer Lodge. So that we'll have that end of this week, beginning of next week, so at least we're good with that.
Will that last the winter?
That'll last the winter, yeah. It's gonna be right at $800. I mean, there's no choice, of course, but at least we got it. They can't even get their brand. They had to get another brand to bring in, but it's getting kind of crazy. Everything's going stupid,
No kidding.
you know,
It's nuts.
but gotta get a couple sets of tires for the work pickups. And other than that, waiting for a sunny day come Monday, I guess. On the dump side, we're getting people are wanting to bring in their carcasses. You know, we've always let them in the past because they're just gonna dump them in there anyway, so. Is there an issue with that?
I think they're supposed to with the COVID, I mean, chronic wasting thing. It says to dump it carcass in the landfill, I think, not to spread it out, not take a carcass and throw it out
Right.
in case there's CWD.
So
I think that's what I read.
we're not taking roadkill, we're just taking what's left of
Mhm.
butcher. Right?
Right, because they don't want them scattered out just all over, because if they had CWD, then that would be in the ground.
Yeah.
That could spread it out there.
And if we don't take them, that's what's gonna happen.
I think, yeah, we're starting, and that's why we had that other pit, you know, when we was running down there. So they put all the wild game in one side.
Right.
So, yeah. I think that's
Throw them in the dumpster and be done. Other than that, that's about all I got.
Heard anything on they getting the parts for the snow plow up there?
I'm waiting, everything's still in order, you know. It's all in their hands. I mean, I would assume it's gonna be the end of November. But maybe quicker.
Yeah. So,
You got it off easy.
Good day to call in. Oh, I got another, we could visit about that culvert up there on,
Grassland.
yeah. Do we wanna change that culvert or?
All right.
I think we have to, don't we? Looking at what I read there.
It's on New Chicago
The,
Road.
back in the day, the county had an agreement to maintain that first third of a mile. I'd look at the minutes of Grassland Drive. In exchange, the county got some type of easement there. But there's a culvert that's like not working properly or.
Well, they put it in there back. It looks to me like in 88 maybe. But it's 6 inches sloped the wrong way.
Can you
So
use the same culvert? Paul,
No,
or just
once you
get a
dig it up,
bigger one?
it'll be junk anyway.
So you're replacing that.
Looks like, the way I read it, looks like we said we maintain as part of it, you know. So
So there's gonna be a lot of grief over it. Because whoever that guy is thinks he owns that road. So we go in there and dig that out, it's gonna be a big,
Well, we'll get a hold of him, you know, lives at the end there, we'll send him a letter and then maybe.
Tony call.
Car- Caldwell or something, but maybe we can get a hold of him and let him know when you're gonna do it, so cause he's in and out of there a lot. I
Well,
don't
we
know
can do it
if
in the next couple of weeks, but it'd be good if somebody sent him a letter saying
That's
that we're
what I'm
gonna do
saying,
it.
we need to get a hold of the letter, let him know we're gonna replace that culvert, yes.
Do you want me to
Right
send it?
away, so on days, I get back to do it,
Right.
but I know, I don't know. if it's- but We, I know they're taking it, so we wanna make sure he can get by.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no getting by when you rip it out. I mean,
Well, if we give him heads up when we're gonna do it, maybe he can plan around something.
yeah, we'd have to anyway, because he'll billy them guys. But then the next question is, we gotta start plowing that?
We haven't for I don't know how many years, because they didn't want us to.
Yeah, I wouldn't unless they ask you to, but if they ask, then it's, yeah, part of the agreement.
I haven't done it since I've been here, but that's not meaning that maintenance thing, so, I mean, it's signed by the county.
Right, who paved it?
It's been like that since maybe Cardwell or Caldwell, whatever, I don't know.
Where's it at?
New Chicago Road,
Oh,
right there, you go past Lacey's house, there, right
so
And-
highway doesn't do it, state doesn't?
No, it's on, our main county road goes right by it, and then this adjoins off of it, and then 89. The commissioners signed an agreement to take care of that 3/10 of a mile of road. If Lacy's let them put that bridge on their property, and they gave them the access for that, and that was the trade-off. Way I understand that, right? Lynn?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the way I
yeah,
read it.
it,
And yet you haven't really plowed it though.
We
We've
haven't-
never done anything.
Never
with
had.
it.
Haven't been since I've been here, but I know.
But now with the water shortage and everything, this pipe is 6 inches, the outlet 6 inches higher than the inlet. So it backs the water all up and it's not letting enough water go through there to do it. To get their cattle any irrigation.
We'll
And
just have to replace the culvert.
they've never cared about it because there's always been so much water that it hasn't been an issue. But now it's an issue.
do you want me to send a letter to
I think
Tony
so,
Caldwell?
and I think that'd be
Have
better,
him talk to Paul if there's any issues, or?
yeah, having called,
I guess you-
and then that way they can get together on it, but I think if it comes from you, then it looks better that we've actually looked into it. You know, it's, might even send that agreement with them, show them that,
Yeah, okay.
that's my opinion. You all right, with that?
Did you get any preservative for the fence post?
Not yet. I don't even have to go down there and look and even see what we get. And then she wants to meet down there on Thursday at 11. I'm gonna meet with her.
Meet with who?
Betty?
Betty.
Oh. I didn't know who her was.
I don't. True. Maybe I couldn't think of her name right away.
Okay.
That's like that piece up Bear Dolls, you know, they put in there, it's got some out everywhere, I've looked at some of the ones, it's this ground they hit. This wood, you don't know what you're buying, I mean, it's, I don't know how you. Guess when you try to treat the top,
Should maybe just put drain oil on it. Drain oil.
at least it's soak in.
That'll work pretty good.
Good as anything for them.
Yeah,
Be there, you
we
know,
got that.
make a couple gallons of it, pour it over the top of it, I mean, it'll treat it just as well. Go spend a whole bunch of money on treatment, town, and then another guy, and they're going by, it's just gallon of oil, and go dump it over the top of it.
Oh, yeah, I think you'd have to paint it in there. Oh,
What do you use drain oil? What did you use drain oil?
I would,
It's okay with me.
Do what?
Did you use drain oil to put them fence posts?
Old oil,
What does that do?
Preservative.
soak it into the wood. Soak in the wood so the moisture won't soak into the wood.
Because you can't get the regular preservative or that would work?
Well, you could buy something, but this stuff will work just as good. And we have it. It's free.
It's free. It's old. Recycled.
Yep, there you go. It's a recycle. Well, maybe
Is that
that
okay with
pipe-
everybody then, or?
I'm good with it. Otherwise, got, we're gonna end up half board, this is half board.
Okay. let's see. The gravel will go on the rock grade, stuff we got.
We got it laid down good, man. See what spring brings.
On the other note, Paul, you might get a hold of, I know Charlie and the guys are all headed down east home. They might want to set up. And meet with
Oh,
when you can, or whatever.
yeah, we better because we gotta sign that agreement with the state.
I just thought about that and I talked to, I know they're all muttered out, so this might be a good time to get a hold of them, back and go and make a plan.
We'll call Charlie.
You want that on the agenda next week or just wait a bit?
And it's just wait, I just wait, I mean, we'll just, he can take talk to him and see. if he
Yeah, until
wants-
we got an actual plan. Just as you want it out, he could be anywhere.
Yeah, I know it's farming over that new piece. But they're putting it out there. But gotta get a home, get that set up so we're ready. and we can sign the contract. That's all I have.
I can't think of nothing else.
Okay,
Do you need any tires for the trucks or anything? Are they all good? Is it true that by after first year you might not be able to get tires or is
That's
that?
what they claim. But we're in pretty good shape. We gotta get 3 sets of pickup tires. We should get by till next year. Unless something happens, you don't need to cut a tire, but for the most part, we got pretty good tires on everything.
so they're running out of tires now.
It's just a bunch of bullshit.
Okay, I guess we're off till 9:20. Thanks,
You bet.
don't work too hard.
All right.
Hear us now? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, she's giving, Jen's giving a thumbs up.
Who is?
Jen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now it's time for Georgetown Lake, yeah, going up. Gain about an inch.
Yay.
The rain
Yeah,
and lower.
And lower.
maybe not quite an inch. I can't remember what it was. It was 27 something. It's 26.7 now.
27 inches below full.
Yeah, 27.48.
So we're 3/4 of an inch better.
I'd make a motion to leave as is.
I'll second.
Any public comment?
Flint Creek looks good coming down,
Hmm.
rain coming in. Water coming below.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
You have that. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. I think there's something wrong on the agenda here. 'Cause we can't be off till 10:30.
Yeah, it should be 9:30. It's like, oh,
Okay, let's write it.
Uh-oh. Big gap.
That's gonna throw things off a little bit.
Well, we still gotta make up an hour someplace.
Cause Mark Hutchins is planning on 11:35, I think.
So we'll have an hour break someplace. Looks like.
I guess you could do it now, just to, 'cause- yeah, he's not,
Was he coming in or calling in?
I think he's gonna call him. We could-
I just have to figure out what the-
Well, should we go till 10? We'll just change the 10s to 9s and.
Yeah, if Rico is planning on,
Hmm?
we'd have to get a hold of Rico.
what the sheriff.
So that's the appointment from the sheriff. I mean, why do we have
I
to?
don't have.
They
you know,
bring
options
it
there
in,
is.
or saying that, cause it's, if the other one is off or something, they get paid more.
Yeah, I think it's a statutory appointment,
Yeah.
Right, and then they just do their oath, and I didn't,
but I think it's to the commission approved it.
the commission has to approve
We
it.
always have, cause we did like Ty and Ricky. Who else?
Okay, so we should go off until 10:30. Got an hour gap.
Till
Yeah,
10:30.
People won't be ready till then.
Okay, it's time for deputy coroner appointment, Deputy Rico Barkel, discussion decision.
I have his notice of appointment to the post council for the state of Montana. We have to send that in to the state. All filled out. I'd like to bring this before you guys and have you vote on it. Per the statute, I have to with deputy coroners. There's a reason I'm doing this. I need a deputy coroner on the south end of the county, and we don't have one right now. There's been a few calls and instances and circumstances where it would have been beneficial to have one. Well, we've had a couple coroner calls last week, and what that does is bog down. I'm still working on mine. I think Ty wrapped his up. So if you get a coroner call, it bogs you down for a couple of days. It can, or longer even. So I realize that 4 coroners in Granite County might seem like a little much, but I can give you examples all day long why this should be the case that we need. So, and not only that, Rico's got kind of a natural talent for things. He seems to do pretty well, and I've noticed that, and I think he would be exceptional at being a deputy coroner. He's been on lots of calls with us. And so that's
Deputy Smith is doing it, right? And then left.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah, Cascade County inherited a pretty good deputy. That was pretty well trained. So
So we just need to make a motion on a septic.
Is all this planned in your budget, or is there might
You know what,
do a
Billy,
little
I
bit of
didn't-
increase?
there's going to be a little bit of an increase that I did not plan for. Yes, that's a good point.
So the commission, I guess the commission could approve this and then look at your overall budget in June of next year and then potentially do a budget amendment at that time if you're needing it.
I think there's going to be enough cushion that I'm going to be okay in that, but well, I dated this 11/1/2021 because quite honestly, it just makes it easier for the payroll folks. They ask me to make it effective November 1st when he starts making that extra money anyway. So
I'd make a motion, we go ahead with the appointment of Deputy Rico Barkel.
I second it.
Any public comment? We can't hear us. Seeing no public comment. All in favor, say aye.
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 Sorry.
do you guys like a copy of this?
You just got,
Sarah will have it. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good job.
No, thank you.
Have a good day. You too.
Hey, Dan?
Is your mic on?
Let's see. This will just need a battery, so. Yours should be on.
This is just an absolute piece
Are
of.
we stopping recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it need battery?
Must need a battery.
Not a AAA batteries, by the way.
Thank you, tech man. Thank you, IT man.
Okay, we're off until 10:45. Now we're on for CDBG grant contract, Phillipsburg Senior Center. You want to come up? Grab a mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Maureen Connor, and I'm here on behalf of the Phillipsburg Senior Community Center and want to thank the commissioners for being the entity through which the senior center has been able to put in for this grant and be awarded for it. The purpose of the grant is for architectural services on the town lots that the Phillipsburg Community Senior Center was gifted to try and start the process toward a new senior community center building down there, which I expect to be a while. But the first official step is the grant, and you guys are a huge component in making this work. So the president, Vera, can't be here today because her husband just had surgery and she's currently at this moment, but he's back in town, and currently she's doing a memorial for somebody, not her husband. Anyway, so I will be happy to shepherd any documents around to for her signature. And I just wanted to tell the commissioners, this grant is supposed to be done in 1 year. And I promise that I will shepherd this around and make sure that it works. Because you guys are involved, and I'll make sure that they get things done. I have a request for proposals done. I just need to get the dates with the senior board of the meetings, but it's ready to go for advertising, so we might see that in the paper soon. And County Attorney Blaine Bradshaw looked at it, and then the State Department of Commerce, who manages the CDBGs, have also looked at it and approved it. So I think we're pretty much good to go.
And this don't cost county, not necessarily that grant, but we're just, it comes to us.
Yeah, I mean, it costs a little bit in the sense that you guys have, will have some, like, just like you're doing now, paperwork associated with it, but the county's not contributing financially beyond helping with the administration of this.
Was that money that we gave him, was that the help on that grant or what? That's in.
Yeah, it's a matching fund. I think it's 15,000 that we gave.
Exactly. I need to say that, the CARES money, is
Yeah,
that it?
Yeah.
Yes, and okay, one
So
second.
it's on their
Yeah.
back page. You can see it.
Just one thing too, that if you do approve this, it needs a written signature, but also do a document, there's an electronic signature that Billy can do and I do as well. That too. That's what they want is the electronics. This could be for our record.
Well, I think this is why we gave them the 15,000 to go for this grant. And
Okay, so, yes, and it's
Why
good
is my
because,
name on it? Shouldn't it be Chuck's?
Should be the chairman, shouldn't it?
So if we can have you pin that out, I'll just put Chuck's name
Okay.
initially.
Yeah, it should. Yeah.
You didn't pick up on it.
so the way this will work, in terms of transferring of money from the state around is, we send in all the invoices and make a request for funds at the 50% mark. And then the person who's managing it up in Helena then subtracts our match and reimburses the rest of it. So what that will mean is that they'll be using the CARES money first, essentially, to pay the invoices, and then we will send them in, and then, yeah, no, I think we're doing okay on this. It's kind of a different thing for the senior center board to manage, and that's why I'll help with the administration of it.
Do you want me to pin that out or?
I don't think it's signed yet.
Yeah.
But to make sure that they're supposed to be done within a year, the state's not gonna take away your birthday, but I wanna get it over and done with, and this is me, because this is essentially an architectural drawing, and what this will involve once we get somebody on board is basically some rough ideas of what the building will look like. One of the things I'm gonna insist on is a drive up. I know that sounds funny, but is a drive up, so that, it's, the people who can drive, but shouldn't be getting out of their car, or for whatever reason can drive right in and get through. And then,
Food and stuff that they handed out to them.
exactly, but
I
once we,
watched the other day, stuff, over giving them that guy out, stumbled over that curb and all shit.
well, and that's, I gotta tell you, the senior board has had some pressure on them to sell those lots, because it would be a nice retail space, and I have to say, I put my opinion in there and said, this is a really good place for seniors, because it's flat. Please, flat land is a big thing here, so anyway, that seems to be going okay. But anyway, once that preliminary sketchy stuff is complete, there'll be at least one, but probably more than that, public meetings to have input, particularly from the senior community, but also the community, because it'll be a community space that the seniors can rent out, and other people can go in there. So anyway, but to make sure to get input, because good ideas come out of, a lot of different heads on it. But anyway, I really want to get this done, because you guys might want to put in for CDBG. And right now, sadly, I've hogged them all up, because I've hogged up the town one with the growth policy that they're doing, and then the county one with the senior thing. So I'm interested in getting it done fast, so that you guys, if you're gonna put in for one for some purpose, that it's available, so. I'm telling you about all I know right now, just to make sure that you guys have the,
Your motion?
One of the growth policy with the county.
Motion?
I'll make the motion to go ahead with the CDBG grant contract with Fields for the senior center.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any public comment?
just repeat, thank you for your support on this.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks for helping.
Tell you, this is like herding cats. Seniors, oh my God. Okay, Blaine, so what should I do? Should I go get Vera to sign?
Yeah, it's Sarah to sign,
Where did she sign?
see where. I don't see where Vera to sign. So just
Okay,
Sarah,
probably not,
I'll
because
get a
it's,
copy of it.
the county's the ultimate responsible
Well,
for
well,
everything, so.
Yeah, we're off until 11:10. Okay, now's the time for the counter offer. Resettlement by Flint Creek Hydro. Net mediation, so I like that counter offer that you did. Do we have a copy of it or?
No, you want me to explain it?
Yeah, cause I don't have a copy. of
So,
it.
the basis of it was if maintenance in any calendar year goes over X amount of, potentially, my thought was X amount of dollars, that would be then shared equally. And that between Granite County, Flint Creek Hydro, and Flint Creek Hydro could potentially do some engineering to services to pay for that. So in the same hourly rate as Great West charges. Jeremiah's idea was any amount over the any maintenance costs, repair costs over the royalties in that calendar year would be equally shared. And
Otherwise, we lose out, if we just, it should be out,
Would it be that year or the year prior, so you could have something based on?
but I think you just do it, the payment would be after the fact, so you look at that. Look at what was done in that calendar
In that
year, and then
calendar
in
year.
January, look at that,
Or
so yeah,
figure it on the budget year
yeah.
would be easier, because we do it on the
then
budget year.
we'll know exactly
Yeah.
where we're sitting,
Yeah.
what we got.
But. Yeah, and the other issue was that if. The county gives them notice of requirements of FERC, and if they object to it, then the county would go to FERC and ask for a variance, but
But he
FERC's
said,
decision would be final.
that lawyer said that they'd go there too, they'd send a letter or something, explaining why they wouldn't have to do it. And you said,
Yeah, you could argue, say both have the option.
I think you need it both, because they're gonna have to back what they
Yeah.
filed.
The county and Flint Creek Hydro would go to FERC and ask for the variance. I could tell you that I don't think very rare they ever get one, they maybe get a time extension, but. If it basically it'd be the county agreeing with them, that, hey, yeah, maybe this isn't that important, we'll go to FERC, but FERC's gonna have the final say. So.
So
That would be my advice.
I'd make a motion to send that counter offer with
I'll second it.
Jeremiah Thayes'
Amendment.
amendment to it, yeah.
I'll second.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none,
Aye.
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 I'll draft it up and I have it on the agenda next week, so you approve the letter.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
I was singing a letter with my signature on it. Do you guys want for your signature or what are you thinking?
I just
Yeah,
send
yeah,
it, I even get it, if it's mailed, send it to him.
What's that?
I just like him, send it to him.
I just want to make sure you guys see that final language first, so it's not.
Yeah, we want to look at it.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
sign it.
Okay,
That
all
way
right.
I know
So
the
it'd be for
deeds
mine,
look
okay.
at it.
All right, so for my signature, but on your agenda next week.
Oh, no, we're off until 11:25. Okay, now time for Purdue Pharma Class Action Lawsuit by Local Governments Update, discussion decision.
So as you know, the county's part of the class action suit and the local, other local governments. There was a settlement with, that was brought to the bankruptcy court, brought to the court, that court, and then also bankruptcy courts involved as well, because bankruptcy is part of that. There was a request for the court to stay that settlement, not execute on it until they can, there's some appeals going on and so forth. So right now it's kind of, I think, in limbo a little bit, and that they're waiting for some court rulings. We did receive that notice about 3 weeks ago or so that said that they'd be sending us information so that we go on and register to be able to then get the settlement amounts. I haven't received that. I think some of these court issues are kind of causing a little delay. So I guess I would just ask is once we do get notice to register to be able to receive the settlement funds, if I can be given authority to do that. When time comes, should be here. I mean, I guess it could be months, but hopefully weeks.
Sounds good to me.
Is this on for just discussion today, or is it?
Decision.
She's got an
Yeah.
update
So-
discussion.
So you could do a motion, giving me authority to go through the process of registering once that's in place. to
I'll
receive
make
the
that
settlement.
motion.
You second it.
Public comment? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 That was easy. I don't know how much actual monies are gonna be trickling down. I know I saw online, the state of Iowa is gonna get like 27 million. But the actual trickles down to the local government. Especially since the probably formula probably goes off population.
Yeah, we'll be screwed again. Okay, now time for Mark Hudgen to request to waive taxes on airport hangar. Mark?
How about now?
Yep, hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for taking the time to hear me. So I guess maybe right off the bat, I need to make a slight correction to the title of this meeting because I am not asking for a waiver. Are you guys familiar with my hangar situation?
Yes,
Okay. So for the last 2 years, I've been primarily in contact with the Department of Revenue and verified that there is no property on the current site to be taxed. And they told me they were going to take it off of their tax roll, which I believe they did. And then this year, I was in the process of getting a bank loan, and they found the delinquent taxes on this particular hangar that's non-existent. So it's not a matter of waiving anything. The tax is incorrect because the tax is based on improvements. And those improvements were removed by order of the commissioners and the county attorney back in 2017 or 2018. So I've spoke with one of the airport board members, one of the former commissioners. And it should be an easy thing to do, but for some reason, the Department of Revenue has directed me back to the county treasurer, Vicki Harding. And Vicki Harding refers me back to the Department of Revenue. And the Department of Revenue has basically insisted that they have no authority to tax or not the tax. Their sole responsibility is to assess value for the tax. And so I keep getting the runaround. And I'm just asking you to correct the tax roll.
Okay, we have any comments on that?
Okay, so this is Blanche McClure, and doing research on your hangars, you have two. And you say you removed the one from hangar from 6 in 2018?
I believe it was, yes.
Okay, you didn't notify anybody that you removed it?
Negative. That communication was all done through primarily the county attorney. I have a letter from him ordering me to fix it or remove it. I fixed it in the middle of winter because I had planned on, rebuilding it because I have plans for another hangar there. And evidently it wasn't good enough. We put geo anchors down into the ground to make sure that everything was secured, but another panel had blown off in a storm. And I got basically a letter ordering me to remove the hangar, and I complied within the 14-day period that he had laid out.
Did you get a letter from him in 2018 that it was removed?
No, I think that, I don't know that, I think him giving notice to remove is critical to the situation. I do think it's a waiver. I mean, there was taxes assessed. The issue is the commission entered into that lease agreement with him on the premise that there would be a hangar there. So I think whether the commission waives it or not would be the commission's discretion, but it's not I don't think anything's incorrect as far as the tax.
Okay, so one thing that we need to explain after doing some research, you have two hangars, and on hangar 3, which taxes have not been paid on that either since 2018. And on hangar 6, they were taken off for 21 because you got a hold of the Department of Revenue. So both your hangars, but what's the problem with hangar 3 is that the Department of Revenue never transferred it into your name, but you still owe the taxes on hangar 3. Then there is another cost here, which is the lease of the land and the additional electricity. You have not paid for 3, nor have you paid for 6. So they still have to be paid whether there's improvements on it.
Could you repeat that last statement?
For your hangar lot rent, which is the lease on the actual land, not the improvements, you have not paid for hangar 3, nor have you paid for hangar 6 in 21, for 21. And the last time you paid for hangar probably 6 was in July of 20. And the last time you paid hangar 3 was in hangar 6 was in 2018. You paid your lease on number 6, and you haven't paid since then. So there,
Okay.
it's not only the improvements that have to be paid, it is also your lease and your electricity that has to be paid, that you haven't paid.
Okay, there has been a great deal of confusion, Blanche, on the billing of both of those hangars. One being, I was being charged electricity for that back hangar that I tore down when there was never electricity there.
Okay,
Okay, and so I did talk to Billy about some of these issues a couple of times in the last several months. And what I need to do is I need to get this one hangar problem resolved so that, because I've been asking for it to get taken care of for the last 2 years. So the tax is for improvements, and there are no improvements because I was ordered by the county to remove it, to tear it down.
And
So
you said
what I'm asking, what I'm asking today is to please correct this issue. The Department of Revenue has said that I shouldn't be taxed on it. Everybody knows that I shouldn't be taxed on it. It's a tax on improvements which don't exist.
exactly.
So, yeah, so
Okay, so
today,
may I explain, please? What we're saying here is that for 21, the improvements have been taken off the tax roll. You never notified us that you removed the hangar that you were supposed to replace. And so we didn't know that the hangar was removed.
no, that's
But
not true.
so another thing I want you to clarify is that you haven't paid taxes on hangar 3 either.
And
I
you
don't
said
know.
you were gonna rebuild that hangar, Mark.
I don't think that's true because I went
We
into,
went out there and we walked through that when Vince and you and I and Slaughter and when Mike and we were out there and you said, you know, we looked at what was going on and you said you're gonna take it down and build up one because then you'd have a nicer one for that other plane.
One thing you can't do is, these are separate situations, the rent versus the taxes are totally separate. You can't tie not paying rent because of the issue with the taxes. That's
Right. So what I'm saying is the improvements, you're saying you would like the improvements waived from 2018 because you removed the hangar?
yes, and there's a record,
correct?
and there is
Okay.
a record of it being removed.
So there is a record of being removed.
Yes.
That was sent where? To the treasurer's office?
I'm not sure, but I had an ultimatum from the county attorney to remove it within 14 days and I complied. So I'm assuming that since I was given an ultimatum to remove it by a government official, that there would be some record that I complied. I mean, if I didn't, obviously he would have taken more action against me.
I think the issue is the county entered into that lease with the representation that he would have a hangar there. If it had to be redone, fine, but,
Well,
Okay, so do you understand what I'm saying is that you have 2 different charges? You have lease of the actual land and you have improvements, which is the hangar. You removed the hangar from 6, correct? So you say you did this in 2018, and that would be up to the commission whether or not to go ahead and waive your 19 and 20 because 21 has been waived. That's what you're requesting, is that correct?
if 21 has been waived, yes, that's what I'm requesting. And then
Okay.
I'm happy to come down and take care of and get current all of the other payments that are due. I've been trying to get this done for some time and, you know, I'll come down and do it today.
So it's only come before the commission just now. This is the only time we've seen it on the agenda.
Well, I didn't know that it was supposed to be before the commission. In fact, I don't know why the county treasurer couldn't have corrected it all the way back to 2018.
Okay,
You know,
so you agree that you have not paid taxes on 3 nor paid the lease on 3 and 6.
okay, is 6 the one that was taken down, just so that we're all on the same
Okay.
page?
Here's where you're confused. You still owe for the lease land and the electricity. If there's no electricity on.
On which
6,
one?
Is there no electricity on 6?
I just asked you a question. Is 6 the one that's in the back?
Both of them.
Is
That's what-
6 the hangar that
You-
was
oh,
in the back
six-
that was
six,
tore
you
down?
had 6 removed, right?
Yes, there never was electricity there.
And there's no electricity here. So
And
right now-
I just had a conversation with Billy about that a week ago.
Okay, and you do have electricity on 3.
Correct. If that's the
Okay,
front one,
so-
yes.
Then your hangar lease for 21, you realize that you owe 360 for just the lease of the land and the electricity, because the 120 we'd take off for the electricity on 6. Okay? Do you understand that?
Oh, 120 on 6 and 240 on 3.
Yes,
Yes, I understand that.
okay, so.
And I will take care of that today with, in addition to any taxes that I owe.
You guys want to, because he tore the improvements down, he didn't notify us, do you want to take?
Well, what is your plan with that hangar? You're
So
gonna
is
leave it
this, what
down?
is this, the
I thought you said
lease?
you only paid in July 20 for the whole time seven.
So there, okay, so we do have documentation here that you have only paid your lease on twice since you received these hangars in 2016.
Say what? I mean, they were all brought current last year. Everything was current last year. So the only thing that I owe is 2021, as far as lease is concerned.
Well, we've got some documentation that shows it different, so we can show that to you. But it's up to you two to decide. But
Well, look, if it's true that if I owe any back leases, I'll take care of that today. But the only thing that I'm asking for today, the only reason that I'm before the commission today is to get me off of the tax roll for hangar 6. And 19, 20, or 21.
You were
if I
gonna
was
build that hangar and why, I guess that's my problem is you've never made an attempt to rebuild it.
Oh, well, I'm happy to have that conversation with you. I have plans for a hangar, but you know, would you spend $50,000 on a building over there? And if you're not 100% sure that the runway is going to be fixed?
That's not. That's
They got the grant for the master plan, and then we'll have the grant for the FAA said that grant will be there.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be a hangar, isn't there?
yeah.
there's supposed to be a hangar there, and you leased it with the hangar being there, and the hangar needs to be replaced.
Okay, I'm happy to have a
Said earlier,
conversation with
remember
you.
when we were out there, Mark, you said you were gonna build one and because that front door and all that, when we were out there, you said it's gonna be a little bigger and nicer.
It is, but I'm not going to do it until we have some guarantee that that runway is going to be fixed.
But
That's,
that wasn't in the deal, I don't think.
No, that's
That wasn't
not,
there.
you can't just decide you're not going to do that. If you choose you don't want that hangar, then I guess you can not lease it.
Well, can you tell me or show me in the lease where it says that I have to replace the hangar or have the hangar there?
you know,
I'm
you
just
had
playing.
to put them back.
It was the implied premise of the actual lease that there's a hangar there. I mean, it says hangar. It's so, but what my advice to the commission would be, once his lease is up and then not to renew the lease, then if it's not rebuilt. That's what my advice. What's so funny about that? You're just gonna leave it out there forever?
Absolutely not. Like I said, I already have a plan for a hangar a little bit larger than what was there, with a bathroom facility for pilots, because we don't have anything but outhouses down there once the construction starts on the runway. But I'm not going to go out and spend $50,000 on a hangar if we don't have some guarantee that there's going to be repairs on the runway, period.
Well, you know, the county's going through and already has the grant and doing the master plan and have FAA's basically promised that those monies will be there. I don't see what other guarantee do you need.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the FAA, there is no guarantee, Blaine, and you know it. Would you invest money on that airport right now?
But FAA has said they will give the county the money for the runway. They've said that in open meeting.
Well, you know, it was a year and a half ago when we were starting all this, that the head of the FSDO in Helena said that there wasn't likely a chance that it would happen.
Your
This is
position also, your position's also changed from when you were on the airport board. You're demanding then for everyone to have their hangars in good order so they can get everything set up for the FAA. That was a condition. Don't you remember that?
No, actually, Blaine, that's not correct. Because when I was airport manager, I was working to get private money to come in. And if there were private money available, we could have got it done 2 years ago.
No, you were requiring everyone as manager to get everything, the hangars cleaned up and repaired and fixed up and.
Well, you know, we're gonna have to move on. Is there, what do we
So it'd
do?
be accepting a motion then, I guess, on if you're gonna waive 2019, 2020.
2018 through 21.
Or prorated from 2018, 2019, 2000.
Yeah, the hangar got tore down in February of 2018.
Oh, okay, let's see, just a second here. Let's-
And I will come down within the next hour. And well, I guess after lunch.
They're
And
open.
take-
So here's the thing. On 3, your total for improvements is $360 that you owe for 3. So if the commissioners,
On tax on improvements.
that's the improvements, that's the
Yeah,
tax,
on-
that's not the lease.
Yeah.
There's still the lease on there too. And on 6, if they choose, if the commissioner decides to waive $212.01, that would leave you $116 owing for improvements for the year 17.
Okay,
Are you agree with that?
sure.
Okay,
And with the
Total we owes.
so the total that you owe, now, you want the total for 3 and for 6 that you owe, that you say you'll come right down and take care of it?
Sure.
Okay, so,
One thing is your motion might want to just say that she'll get that all taken care of in case, yeah, the dollars.
Well, it all needs to be caught up so we can move on.
Yeah, so your motion could be conditional upon getting caught up fully and is all other taxes and all other.
okay,
things.
so then there's the lease for 21 on 3 and 6. And we will take electricity off of 6. Does that work for you?
Yes,
That's.
I think that was already done. Because
Then you'll
if
be
you,
caught up,
if-
right?
Yeah.
square
if
with
you-
everything
if
we paid.
Yes.
if you look at the lease on 6,
don't-
it clearly states that it's supposed to be 120, I think.
I see that. You say there's no electricity on 6, that's fine, we'll charge you 120 for 21.
What is the dollar amount that would be waived in taxes?
212.
212 and how many cents? How many cents?
Oh, in 1 cent, I think. I cleared it out. Let me do it again. 18,107 plus 101 plus 918.
There's a factor, I think.
Oh, never mind. Let's see. 1, 2, and 3. So 30201.
30201.
But
So
then
if
he'd still pay 11601 for 17 taxes.
So I would agree, if you're gonna do a motion to say that you're waiving $302.01 in the back tax, those taxes. And subject to him getting current in all other taxes and all other lease
And
payments.
his lease,
Yeah.
And how about if there's no hanger on 6? Within a certain amount of time that it goes,
Well, my advice would be once that lease is up, to not renew the lease unless there's a hanger there.
so here's the condition.
That's not fair.
Well,
Yeah,
if
it
you lease this property with a hanger on it, and there's supposed to be a hanger on it,
Yeah.
and you remove the hanger because it was dangerous, so you need to replace the hanger. If you don't want to pay the lease on the land, then you would give up your lease for 6.
Well, wait a second. That's, nobody said I didn't want to pay the lease on the land. That never came out of my mouth. In fact, for the last 5 minutes, we've been calculating the amount that I need to have credited towards the tax bill for 6. And we discussed the current lease dollars that are due on both 3 and 6. And I told you that I'm happy to come down there and bring it all current as long as that tax bill was corrected. I think we're there. Nobody ever said that I didn't want to pay the lease. Now, I think we can still have a conversation as to whether or not I am bound contractually by a lease to have a hanger on the premise.
Yes, you are.
Well, my idea takes care of that issue, because once his lease is up, if he doesn't have a hanger there, then you don't have to, not required to renew that lease.
I do not think that is fair, Blaine.
It's
And by the
the
way,
whole proposition to have hangers out there that are being used.
It's not fair that you didn't rebuild it when you said you were going to when we was out there.
yeah, somebody else might want
Yeah, somebody else will rebuild one there.
there's no condition in the lease that I have to have a hanger there. And
it.
because
For
we
a
have,
hanger,
well, what about the other
for-
people that don't have hangers that have
Can
leases?
I say something? You haven't even paid your lease for 21, for 6. You still owe. So does that mean that you're in default, and so therefore you no longer have 6?
I have said numerous times that I'm waiting to get this tax bill straightened up and the bills for the leases straightened up, because you have not charged me the proper amount for the lease on hanger 6, and you have been taxing me since 2000.
For today.
I have come in. I've come in like 3 times, last year and this year.
well, let's take care of this other
Yeah,
thing,
I-
and then the lease thing, after, if he doesn't pay it, let's check into it and we'll,
Yeah, I think you should separate out the issues, this one
Exactly.
versus.
so I'll make the motion that we waive the 19 and 20 taxes and
So it's
on the
18,
condition
19,
that everything else is paid immediately.
18, 19, and 20,
It-
18, 19, and 20 taxes.
So and he still pays 17 taxes, which is 11601.
And this is on the
Plus-
condition, everything has to be taken care of.
Plus, he also has to cover hanger 3 for his taxes, because he hasn't
Yes.
paid
Yeah,
since.
so that would just be
Everything
lots,
has to be
lots,
paid.
that motion would be just lot 6 then, right? Lot 6 on the motion.
The first one.
No.
Yeah, first,
It's for
So-
everything.
is that,
So
he still owes on 3.
Yeah.
He still.
I say everything has to be paid up.
Oh, I mean,
Yes.
the waiver is only on lot 3.
The waiver's
The
only
waiver.
on on hangar 6
6.
for
That's
18,
correct.
19, and 20,
Exactly.
which
That-
is
that's the most.
30201.
30201.
Okay, and then you have your lease on hangar 6 of 120 for
Yes.
21 you haven't paid, and your lease on hangar 3 that has electricity and a hangar on it at $240.
Well, it'd just be if it doesn't get paid, then you're not waiting
Yeah,
because your
and-
motion's contingent upon that getting
Yeah.
paid.
Exactly.
So, and I guess, Chuck, what did you want to say about the lease with no hangar on it?
We'll take care of that another
Okay,
time.
all right. Does that work for you,
We'll talk about it.
Mark?
Yes. Yes, and
Okay.
I obviously want to be involved in that conversation. In the
Yeah.
meantime, I'll head down to the treasurer's office and pay my lease payments and pay the tax on hangar number 6. And if there's any taxes due on hangar number 3, I'll pay those as well.
There is.
Okay, any other public comment? Don't see any. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye, okay. Now we're gonna move on to correspondence. I don't see any correspondence. So then we're in public comment for 5 or 10 minutes.
No correspondence?
I didn't see any. Good job.
Does owe back lease money.
Yes.
On since like, how long ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you got that tallied up?
Yeah. So here's the thing, he's not been paid lease.
We're on,
Anything hardly, except for July 20.
So.
we're
if you don't
on,
mind
this is
double
public
checking
comment.
what those numbers are, and let,
Yeah.
do you want to let Vicky know that we're waiving that?
Yeah, okay.
Waiving one part. but the
Yeah,
everything
302
else has to be paid.
Okay.
30201.
Okay, so we have 21. He paid in 20, he paid 360 in 20, so he actually only paid the 240 and the 120 in 20, and he hasn't paid in 21. He did not pay in 19, so he owes 120 and 240 for 19. You can take this away from him. He hasn't paid for 5 years.
That's what I'm about ready to say, you know what, keep throwing that comment out. about the
So,
hangar that you've done.
That's 19. This is a,
We're still on public comment.
this is 20. This is
Yeah, it's like-
20 he paid, 19 he didn't, 18 he didn't. So that's 120 and 240. And 17, he paid 120
Still,
for
owes-
6.
somebody still owes the other part.
So
11601, you got
he
that.
didn't get, so that's 6, so he owes 240 for 3. So he hasn't paid.
But he owes a chunk of money.
Any other public comment? How about the board minutes?
I make a motion to approve the board minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I don't see any public comments, so we're gonna adjourn for lunch. Okay, now the time for mediation, Granite County Road and Bridge Department and Solid Waste Union negotiations with union representative
Sure.
Craig Davis. Discussion and decision.
So this is mediator David Lucky of the Department of Labor, it's Granite County Commissioners, Commissioner Adler, Commissioner McClure, Commissioner Hinkle.
Good.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you as well. Well, you guys, thanks for inviting me up. I'm sure we're gonna have a good time. I always call everybody together in the beginning, just to go over some ground rules, okay? Doesn't hurt to do that. And then I think it's my understanding we'll split up.
Hmm.
I talked a little bit beforehand. I think I'll spend some time with the commissioners to begin with. When we're through, we'll come up and talk with you guys and we'll do back and forth accordingly. Does that sound all right? Okay, just a couple of things. I don't know how you've done it in the past. I require that all proposals are reduced in writing, okay? Everything has to be in writing. It just saves everybody and it saves me.
Hmm.
If in fact we end up not selling it today and we agree to come back on another day, then everything's recorded. We know exactly where we're at.
Do you mean typed or just could be in
You know,
right now?
I don't care as long as it's legible.
Okay.
As long as we can all read it and understand it, I'm okay with that.
Saved hours. I write way faster than I type.
Thanks for warning. Okay, if we're successful today, I'd like the final agreement to be done in writing and have those that it's appropriate to sign on the bottom of it. If not everybody, I don't care, whatever you guys call appropriate, all right?
We do have we have the model agreement that we've been going off of. I would just ask that the union make the changes to it. That's all I'd ask. The county review it.
That would be the agreement after everything is added to it, correct? And that's actually.
Sure, after any changes, any modifications, all we have to do is make sure we have a current working Word document. I can do that.
Okay.
I can't sign off on it. If we came to agreement today, I can't sign an actual contract, even if it was all put together today until after the guys vote on it.
Right, and that's my next part of the argument. It's my understanding that the agreement that we reach today will be a tentative agreement until it's ratified and until, I would imagine you guys have a process that you have to go through, or is that process here today?
They could do it here today, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's fine, just as long as we know in advance. So, with that in mind, if we do come to an agreement today, then it will be tentative until you ratify and until the commissioners okay. If we're not successful, it's always been my practice that anything we come up with, any paperwork, any notes, anything, unless it's agreed to by both parties, destroy it. Start over from where you were before. Okay. There's a couple of reasons for that. It's just, it makes mediation what it is. Nobody's afraid to say anything. It's not going to be used against them later. That just makes the process work. Caucuses, always acceptable. All right. The only thing I ask is that you're just professional about it. If you're going to be more than 10 minutes, you're going to keep everybody waiting, come in and say, hey, we need some more time. I understand the caucus is part of the process, so not a big deal.
Only thing I'd say is anything down here is open meeting or on Zoom, public can come in, understand the upstairs, it's not,
Okay.
they can follow their own rules, but for here, down here, it has to be an open meeting.
And if you need me to leave for the caucus, I don't have a problem with that. I can leave in a heartbeat. Don't feel bad about it, okay? I just got through saying some of it. I will not testify for either party. Should it end up in hearing, district court, whatever. I'm pretty confident we won't end up there today, but just as a rule, that's just part of what makes the process work. So as long as we understand that, I'm good. And then last but not least, it's just professional courtesy. Guys, I've had it get out of control before. Just speak one at a time. Everybody will get a chance to speak. I don't care how long it takes. I make sure that everybody has their opportunity, okay? We got all day, and if we need more, we'll come back. I don't care, that's my job, okay? Any questions? Anybody? Okay. Then I think as we discussed, I'll come down with the commissioners.
Okay.
Chat with them a little bit.
Upstairs.
And when we're ready, I'll come up and talk to you guys.
Sounds good.
Need a bottle of water in if there's, you can ask Claudette. We have some of my office.
I brought a little
Okay.
cooler with water and stuff.
So where do we start? I know you've given me a packet. It sounds to me like we kind of got into the area standards.
So the county has offered the 1.2% COLA, which everyone got, including elected officials. And that's the, I've been hanging up, one of the things they, do you want me to kind of summarize?
Sure, go
with it?
ahead.
And then the commission can, definitely add to it, but they've talked about how that doesn't include like the last 6 months, kind of the cost of living increases around here. But the county's gone back to them and said, that's looked on annually. MACO gives the recommendations, and annually the county looks at that. I know one of the things they talked about is, well, the county has PILT money, or they might have some extra money. Well, the county's had to supplement the road department with PILT, but the county's been using that as a rainy day. So to me, I think the issue has to get back to what's a fair wage. We've done the homework on the comparisons. And what they've said is that, well, Butte Silverbow has a higher cost of living in Granite County, but I don't feel like they've shown us any evidence of that. And you look at in the packet there, you look at all the benefits combined, Granite County is not very far behind Butte Silverbow to their road crew.
So one thing, when you compare road wages, you want to compare by the size of the county, the certification, and the population. And so we went out there and we got 9 comparable counties that with their certification, their population, and their area that are equivalent to Granite County.
Page
And
2.
Granite County is paid the highest of them all, as far as entry-level wage.
It's $20.18 there, page 2. Another thing that came up is potentially we've heard some rumors that they're saying that the courthouse employees across the board got a $2,000 raise, but that's not correct. There's the new statutes for the sheriff and the undersheriff. So the undersheriff and the deputies receive that increase, the statutory one, and then the sheriff now under the statute, sheriffs are separated out from the other elected officials as far as their. So the sheriff got a small increase above the 1.2%, but that wasn't anything across the board.
It was
county
1.2
employees.
for all employees.
Yes.
Sheriff, under sheriffs are all statute, right?
Yeah. But
You guys-
they're now the sheriffs are off of that being connected with the other elected officials, so with like the clerk and recorder, treasurer, and so he did get the compensation board met and agreed to a small percentage. What was that per year? I mean, it's
So the elected officials get 1% longevity a year.
Okay,
but the sheriff above that got a small increase this year.
This year, yeah, there
Yeah.
was just,
Yeah, just this year.
yeah,
No.
this has been going on, the longevity for the elected officials has been going on since 2004.
and they get it every year?
Yes. And that's the same with the road crew. They get their step
1%
increase
per-
every year,
On a satisfactory.
which was one of the
job.
negotiation things that they realized a couple years ago. Instead of getting it every other year, they get it.
But they're asking for the 1.2% plus a hourly increase. Or
Or
Is it-
1% or 1.2?
They want, what they, $2 an hour plus
Yeah.
their COLA
yeah,
is what they're asking. Now,
That's in the last negotiation. Okay. Couple of questions I had coming into this. It sounds to me like you're going with various standards, you're doing some research on it, okay? Pretty close to fact finding. Fact finding gets pretty expensive. I mean, you actually, you know the process, it's in statute, you hire a fact finder, which is basically an arbitrator. And they make a decision based on the information that you provide, right? And I'm not.
We haven't done that process yet, but
Right.
yeah.
Right, that's just one process
Yeah.
that's available. It's expensive. It does take time. I know I've been involved with a couple of fact findings. It takes about 6 months. You know, not to mention, you're probably at $6,000 or $7,000 for each side. Maybe, so, but that was my first question. Do we want to keep going down this comparison road? Do we want to look at the comparisons and say, okay, this is fair or not fair? And then continue negotiating and just try to find some common ground.
I think we need to show them this, because they keep saying that we didn't have proof of comparisons.
Yeah,
So.
and I
this-
will
Yeah.
definitely go through it with.
Yeah, I think from the standpoint of
So-
saying it's a fair way, because they've talked about, I mean, they said mistreated and.
No.
Yeah.
Other thing too is
I can write on this, right?
Yeah, that's yours.
they are 10% higher than any other employee in their wage.
County, across county, Granite County.
For the county.
Yeah.
And they're the highest paid as far as road work is concerned,
And they're what?
or just,
They're
All
just, this
employees.
is solely just the road crew. so
Solely
yeah,
just the road crew.
But they get paid more than the
They get paid
comparable.
comparable, yeah.
Of the same.
Their
of the same-
matrix is different. They get 30 years instead of 10, which the step increases every other year, and they get it every year, and they get it 30 steps before they would probably have to reevaluate for another grade increase.
So you're saying like they're getting
Yeah.
getting paid more than the comparable county, other comparable. county.
And we also pay to their union insurance. And then because the other employees didn't have any kind of supplemental retirement, we offered them some nationwide, and the road crew was also offered that. So, I mean, this is every benefit. We try to be fair with all county employees, but
The county puts in
the road crews, are just like,
They get clothing too, or the
Yeah.
rest of them, they get $400 clothing.
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, to turn that back on all the time.
She's used to, hey,
This is
she's
true.
used to, she sits by me.
So back to the 30 years longevity. I didn't quite understand that. So they get 30 increments.
yes.
Okay. Now, are you comparing this to your county's employees or other counties when you say? they
Our
all
county
get-
employees.
So.
Our county employees, there are 10 steps, which is 20 years. And they get it every other year, a 2%. And the road crew is 1%, and their matrix is 30 years,
And they get it every year rather than.
every other year.
And it's a
So-
higher wage off.
Yeah, They get
each-
1% added to their wages every year, not counting the COLA. And if the COLA's offered, then they get the COLA too. So this year, if they accepted the COLA, it'd be 2 points. Because they get their longevity too, on their anniversary date.
But a county employee that'd be on the same level as them has a lower entry wage, right?
The other county.
The other county employee versus the road. crew.
So I'm gonna go back to this first question because I think I'm trying to find a way to attack this from both sides, right? Do we want to continue considering all of these comparisons and this data? Is that the way we want to go down this?
Well, you've asked that twice, now you got me wondering if it's, you think we should or should, or is that something, because you've
Well-
said that twice now, I'm kind of wondering, are you trying to tell us something, maybe we don't want to do the comparison? Is this wrong to ask that stuff?
No, absolutely not.
I don't-
That's
The
exactly the
one,
conversation that I want.
the one thing that, the reason I would say yes is because how can we pay someone a higher wage when we don't have that certification of tax dollar coming in?
Right.
And they're requesting that, and we just don't have it, and we're supplementing with,
Yeah.
with payment in lieu of tax money. So the comparison shows 9 counties in the state
They
that
asked
are the
for it.
same as Granite County.
Yeah.
We need to keep it the same as Granite County, don't you think?
Hmm.
I do think so.
And I'm
You
not,
can give your opinion. I'm glad to hear it.
yeah, and I'm not saying we need to discontinue it for long. I'm saying, let's look at the numbers that are here. Let's decide if they're inaccurate or accurate. Find out what's accurate, and then go from there rather than just continually arguing whether it's accurate or not accurate. And then going back and finding more data,
I don't,
because it really does.
We
cost a lot of
have
money.
documentation for everything,
So-
and they don't.
I don't think they're saying this is inaccurate. I think they're saying that Granite County is more comparable to Butte Silverbook because of the cost of living increase here. The inflationary costs here in 2021 are basically higher in Granite County than Butte Silverbook. That's
Yeah.
their argument. We don't, so they're saying we should be comparable wages to Butte Silverbook is what they're saying.
And let me back up. I'm not saying that your information is inaccurate. What I'm saying is when I get into comparisons like this, I get in the middle of that argument. And we can spend days
Yeah.
arguing about numbers, and we don't really get anywhere as far as settling the agreement.
Right.
You know,
But-
so.
But being a county entity and only having so much revenue, and we're comparing to other counties, and in itself is documentation showing this is what we compare.
Right.
This is comparing, this is a very fair comparison. I mean, it's comparing everything.
Okay.
Population, certification, and the miles worked.
I think one of our arguments back would be, if we are comparable to do so, we're paying comparable. So I think it's only like 50 cents an hour less, so.
And
I don't know,
Silver
but-
Bow is,
Yeah.
their certification is way
Yeah.
higher than ours.
Yeah, so they're not,
See, their certification is way higher than ours. And one thing about the road, what they don't seem to understand is the road fund is not countywide. So the monies that's in their fund is not countywide. So not everybody in Granite County pays it, so it's not as high as the countywide tax. So we have to compare with road.
That's understandable. Yeah. Yeah. What was your question? I'm sorry. I know it's gonna come back to you, and when it does,
Oh, they just said
Just
that
let me know.
we didn't have approval, and that's one reason why they went and got all this stuff, so we had approval. Greg last time said, well, that don't show us nothing, now we have it. So
well,
and I'll definitely spend some time to go through this with them.
last time they had
That's
a, had some figures on Butte Silverbow versus Granite County, and they had some, with some like houses sold for here in Granite County, and basically saying, oh, we can't afford a house here because of the in Phillipsburg is so high. But it didn't come to us, it didn't come from a credible source. If they have a credible source for it, I think the county would look
The
at
rest of the county has the
Yeah.
same problem.
it. Yeah,
I mean, these people here that work in the courthouse have the same problem.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
yeah, it's across the board.
going the way the house market took off, and where it's, but you can't do it.
Well, you can't, yeah, the way the,
you know.
it's a tourist. It's, the price is,
Right.
they're lucky they all own their homes.
And you lead me into my next question. How much time have you spent going through the budget? Transparency.
Too much time.
Yeah,
What do you mean, what goes
with this
through
group,
the road budget?
within the county and the road crew. Have you sat down and went through the budget with them?
No,
Do they have a good idea?
no.
Well, they asked for, all the budgets for the last 3 or 4 years, and so they have all the documentation.
Okay,
But what I'm saying, I'm talking about the road crew, they don't have a clue. And I'm not sure that their rep
Does he?
has either, because he's asking for countywide revenue when he should only be getting road revenue.
Yeah, good point. And we could potentially print some of that out if needed there, but if they have it all.
Yeah,
then
it's,
I don't know
it
if they
should
could-
be, I think we've sent it all to him time and time again, but he seems to lose it. So the one thing too is because the road fund is in dire straits, we had to use 50% of their budget came from payment in lieu of taxes because we couldn't cover it. So the revenue isn't coming in to cover their wages and expenditures going out. Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, I know these budgets are set up different. I went through quite a few of them. I spent a ton of time going through school district budgets. So I understand that there are some pots that can be used and some that can't be used. That's a good, I think that needs to be brought to their attention. That not everybody pays taxes into the road and bridge. That's the way it is. First of all, I'd like to know if they just understand that. Comparing apples to apples basically is where we're at to make it simple. So, this is a question that I should have asked in the beginning. Who proposed last?
They gave us and we sent it back, we denied, wait on the second one was.
Denied it, and I think
They-
said that 1.2% was still on the table.
We threw it back to 1.2 back to them. We had to-
Okay, so you guys proposed to them last time. Do you have any copies of those proposals? Can I get just the last one that's really what I'm interested in? So I know. what
That
I'm
was,
talking about going in.
I think that was all verbal with them and probably,
Yeah,
Could be the
that's only
minutes.
thing that we had on the first one. And we would come back and after the code, we could see.
Okay, go ahead.
want a copy of that.
Yeah, yeah, if you would.
The, I guess want to talk about not coming to an agreement, but arbitration may be the way to go if we can't come to an agreement here today. What are your views? What are your thoughts on that?
Those things are always, they're options.
Yeah,
They get into a lot of money. I don't want to give up on this.
yeah,
yet.
yeah, I'm not.
It takes me a little while to get my feet on the ground. I have to spend some time with you, find out where you're at. It sounds to me like maybe a good first step would be to, number one, understand the budget and understand the accurate,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go and get a kind of a sense of what they understand. Thank you.
well, their argument probably back is gonna be, well, their county still has a lot of help money, but. To me, that's, yeah, yeah. it's fair. The county has a disaster,
Like the dam and stuff
Yeah.
like that, I mean, it's not just for
it's
weeds.
needed to have as a
You know,
rainy
just
day
make-
savings
No
account.
reason to put it in there, just make sure the budget comes
Right.
out, we can't sit there and keep draining that, and didn't.
When you talk about equipment, and all that, how much money was into equipment for the road and bridge?
They got probably the fanciest equipment out there. We have 2 new graders, 3 new dump trucks, snow plows, backhoes new, a little skid steer that's new, this stuff's all brand new.
Good.
We're on buybacks on the graders and then one other buyback, I think. I can't remember.
Snow
Anyway,
plow, snow
it's-
plow.
I mean, this shit's, people just go, "What is it now?" But you don't see nothing more.
So one thing too, on their vacation, to use, where usually you have 2 years. If you don't use it, you can hold on to 2 years. And so they can hold on to 3 years, because when they have to take their vacation, all the superintendent has to do is say, well, they can't take it right now, so they have a year to use it. Does that, and
Yeah,
that
we
was,
changed that, what, a couple years ago, we changed that, wasn't
The
So
health
that's one of the-
insurance is over 1,000 a month,
it? 13.
so that goes to every, employee, but that's a,
Come out to like 30,
And how are you with insurance? Do they pay anything out of pocket?
no,
Okay.
unless you have their family would add on, but not.
except for family, just the
Yeah.
So you pay the
employee.
same. Did that go up this year?
yeah. No, it went down this year because that plan changed.
Well, the,
Well, we
well,
actually
the
went up
premium,
a dollar.
about the dollar amount the county pays is the same.
Yeah.
I think it's like 1180 or 13.
What are we talking about?
The amount the county pays in insurance per month.
Wasn't
Yeah, I think 11.
it 1180, I think it was.
Plus they pay 25 into the nationwide for them,
Yeah.
which is voluntary. Then they're paying, I'm not sure, let me get an authority in here.
Thank you.
Sounds like they got it pretty good there.
Good, yeah, the mistreated
I
argument.
mean, come on.
Yeah, that's kind of see the whole.
So they talked, I just walked into their discussion that they had, they were talking a little bit about the sheriff.
Yeah,
That's a little bit different ballgame, that's statute, most of it is.
Yeah, we can get you a copy of that
Yeah.
statute too.
There was-
That way we show him.
Yeah, there was some above the statute, but the reason why that statute came about is actually the Granite County Compensation Board working with Mako, saying, these sheriffs are getting shot at, and need a little hazard pay. So the statute may not say hazard pay, but that was originally the thought behind it, is that sheriff shouldn't be tied with the other elected officials. They should be able to, compensation board should be able to look at potential some hazard pay.
So the only thing that I see that's outstanding so far, there's a lot of things that it looks to me like we need to have additional discussion, but all of my negotiations, usually the first thing I concentrate on is to make sure that everybody's got an accurate picture. You know what I mean? And it sounds to me like you guys have done some serious homework on the budget and comparisons, went down that road. But I'm wondering if it wouldn't be worthwhile to take a step backwards and say, we know what the numbers are in the budget. Let's take a step backwards and tell you how it works. What funds are there that are accessible for wages, what are not? And what's being saved for a rainy day, and quite frankly, what is a rainy day? What are those concerns? What are those worries?
Well, I mean, they talked about how, 50% of that budget had to be supplemented with pill. And that fund, yes, Mr. Allen tried, that's not always gonna be there. You start eating that every year.
Right.
On the rainy day issues could be unlimited. I mean, the county operates the Flicker Hydro, the Flicker project, the dam up here.
Well, we can't even count on Pill.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a guarantee.
No,
Yeah,
Now, we're going to fight to get it.
yeah. What other,
Gas
county-
tax.
the county buildings, I mean, granted, they're insured, but there could be, if there was a catastrophe.
Oh, yeah,
Fire or
many
whatever.
things, a dam, we put $200,000 of public money in a dam and 100,000 of Pill. I mean, and we had to do that just to keep the
So-
dam going afloat.
FERC is, since that spillway issue in California is clamping up on the regulations. So the contract the county has, you get 10% royalties right now, but the county has the full cost of maintenance and repairs on the concrete dam.
Plus they got 2 new pickups too. How about them?
Well, the thought is you're not always broke down, so you keep them on the, that's a good.
Well, 90% of the stuff's under warranty, so Caterpillar comes out or they'll bring another piece out so we can keep working. It ain't like they have to go home.
Excuse me, I'm just writing this stuff down.
Yeah, counties in Montana that just or rely upon PILT is just a given that it's coming. That's not a.
I heard if interest rates go
Reasonable
up
way to do
2%, there'll be no discretionary money in the federal budget, and you know PILT is discretionary.
Very discretionary.
Yeah.
You can get
So and this is another one of my questions, and I just got into this with another county. Right now, PILT is on the rise. Like you say, I completely understand that could change tomorrow, but it is for all practical purposes. PILT's been going up. I don't know if it's the
Not
same.
that much.
Not that much.
Well,
For you.
No.
Yeah,
And
so
it's
it's based,
different for
there's
every
a population as part of that formula, so
Right.
yeah, but yeah, maybe.
So like Deer Lodge
So-
get more than we do because they have more population, but we have more federal land.
Yeah,
Not right.
we went after it different way and
Didn't help. Okay. Yeah. But there has been a little increase there.
Little increase. That's
Do you know how much?
I can get it from you.
Is it substantial would be my first question. And if it's substantial,
Nah,
We can get dollars here.
then that may be a question that I'll ask you later if we get to it.
yeah, if you go up there, I can get that, we can get it for you.
Okay, I know that in other counties, and I get it. It's not consistent from county to county. It's based on population, all kinds of other things. You know, I have an idea how that works. Not concrete, but I have an idea. And I know that the county I was working on, it went up substantially. But so did population. You know, and their position is the same thing. It's not for sure money. So these things like longevity, vacation, the things that continue to improve based on themselves on a yearly basis is pretty dangerous when you're throwing in PILT money to pay it.
exactly.
You can end up in a lot of trouble really fast.
So it looks like Montana in fiscal year 2021, Montana as a whole went up $1,043,759. But that's all of,
That's not
all of,
much.
all of Montana.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like Yellowstone, all that.
So
Bozeman.
what it comes down to, that increase to Granite County would be
It's not,
Not much.
I
a
mean,
few thousand. If that. I
I
mean,
think it was like 1,300.
let's see. Okay, I'll have it here, make a.
And that's a question I can ask later. It just may come up and I like to try and cover all my bases. I'd like to get an
They got
idea.
pretty much everything furnished to them. I mean, yeah, they do a good job. Don't get me wrong, they do a good job. They made a road. You have no complaint on that. You know, it's the money deal is the whole thing. It's just, it's not the location or nothing. It's just.
Well, you look at
gotta
it,
have the money to pay it.
inflationary costs too, is they've been keeping up with inflation.
I mean, geez, welders, everything. It's just, I mean, the shops, we finally got tools and stuff. They bought that in the shop down there, so they have a bigger shop. 2 years ago, 80,000. I got good work in there, I think.
I think also, like we said, one of the biggest arguments gonna be that had all these
That's your,
inflation.
we have a road supervisor now too, so he has them lined out, but they don't have to try to figure out where each guy's going. You
Yeah,
know, that makes a lot of difference too, you know, he makes, 70. So it's.
Okay, what was I bringing in? So one thing they get too is on their holiday pay, they used to have to take 2 hours vacation because they do 10-hour shifts. And so they ended up getting a holiday pay at 10 hours.
So did
How do you get on this crew?
Yeah.
That was one of the negotiations, I think, maybe how many years ago? I
I
don't
don't
know.
ever remember that. I've been-
So like on their PERS, which is their retirement, they pay 0.079 and the county pays 0.887. So they pay over for their retirement. This one of the benefits.
They pay over.
No, we do.
Okay.
We pay
So
over.
they, for their side, they paid 0.79 on their wages, and
Okay.
we matched that with 0.887.
Okay.
So we paid more than what they paid. And then the county contribution for health insurance is $11.52.
Per month.
Mhm.
And we pay their union retirement at 38 cents an hour.
But that comes out of the wages.
That, we pay that, the
But it-
county.
But it came out of the wages. It has to by law.
It doesn't come out of their wages, it's a benefit.
I know, but when it was negotiated, it has to be taken out of their wages and put into the pension. It's the only way they can do that on a union pension. So I guess what I'm saying is, yes, it's a benefit, but they elected to pay into that.
I know,
It's a
but
part of
the
their
county
wage.
pays it, they don't pay it,
We pay.
right, Becky?
I'm sorry.
It's the county pays the 38 cents an hour. They don't, it
Yes.
does not come out of their side of the wages, the county pays it
Correct.
Maybe we
into their
shouldn't be.
benefit.
They
Well,
pay 12 cents.
said
And
the
we pay
contracts, you
38
can't take
cents.
away.
Okay, I'll ask them about that.
Okay.
That'd be a good question.
So, and then I think I mentioned because of the nationwide, because we were paying the 38 cents per hour, we offered nationwide to the other employees and we offered them 25 a month. And that's offered to the road crew also. I mean, everything we offer to the county, the road crew gets it.
Right, and nationwide is,
It's a retirement, it's a 407 or something. And that's a voluntary basis, but we put $25 a month towards that for them.
So when you break it right now, you start adding and doing all that. it's far more.
Well, when you look at the benefits that,
That's a big deal.
So the 36 million plus paid to Montana, Granite County got 303,398 till. 2021.
so for fiscal 22 budget, we ended up putting 530,000 in from PIL 2. So
303,398. So that increase would have been this, yeah, no.
I don't think it really is hardly anything. Is there stuff? like you
No, I
said,
checked on that. It's nothing.
Yeah, we are stuck because on the population.
Yeah.
We have-
what are you talking about?
a
The
bill.
bill went up some, But the amount that came to Granite County would have been fairly,
We
out
have
of
a
36 million plus given to Montana, we get.
You seen like
302,000.
Gallatin and some of them where they got all this great big thing, but the population.
Anything else?
I hope. That's not enough, ain't it?
Well, to me, I think one of their main arguments was that they looked at all this increase in inflation here, the first part of 2021. We'll look at that and NACO looks at that and negotiate it next year. It's always kind of a little bit behind. That's the way everyone negotiates it, isn't it? And,
It's the way it's always been done.
Yeah,
So-
some's different. Everything is a little bit different with each county, you know. Cost of living always plays a part with COLAs.
So this is the consumer price index, and that's what we get from MACO. And we always use the prior COLA, say for example, so this was what, 2.8 this year?
1.2. And so the compensation board met in June. That was what was recommended. So the compensation board approval of the commission
The 1.2.
approved that for all elected officials. The commission's like, we're gonna give that same percentage to all the employees.
Do you want a copy of that?
Subject to-
too? You
This
can
is
have
for the
mine.
COLA.
You can have mine.
Okay, I'm just gonna put, I'm gonna put return on this. So make sure you ask me for it back, otherwise I'll walk off with it. But I like to give all this stuff back when I leave anyway.
And they're getting paid to do negotiations too.
Okay.
That's one of the things I'm gonna bring up.
And today,
It's like their time cards today actually say what they did today. And it's it just says road maintenance.
There's
This is
right there,
where-
no documentation that we paid them for union negotiations.
And the other
I
one,
was involved with that emails.
and this other one
So I
today
understand.
says
yeah,
shop and grade Rumsey Road. But I
it
mean,
needs to be accurate on what they're
they
doing.
were. So I don't know if they were-
Okay, couple things, give some thought about the budget. Sitting down and having a discussion on how it works, not necessarily the numbers, but how it works. Because I think that plays just as big a part. There are some funds that are there that look like there's a lot of money, but it can't be used for wages. Another good one is the fact that not everybody pays into those particular taxes that fund road and bridge.
I think
And maybe
that's
they
gonna
know all this, I don't know, I'm just assuming, I'll go up and talk to them now.
They've been and talked to them about it before, but I mean, yeah, it does.
be-
it's
Yeah,
something-
they can explain to Craig and guys have been there.
Okay.
They just kind of. Let's stay to it. Seems like.
It's to a point right now where we're 50% of their budget is coming from outside sources. That's where it is right now, because there's not enough revenue. The
Non-guaranteed,
road does not
non-guaranteed.
generate the revenue that for the
Correct.
wages and for the payments for the new equipment. And it's dire. It truly is dire. And we did throw the COLA in there into the budget, but I mean, we're
That's,
Gonna have
that's
to
pretty
do-
common with every road and bridge in every county.
what's that?
They don't generate their own money, road and bridge.
But she's talking about the taxes that are coming, yeah. But yeah, I hear what you're saying there. But most counties are in the same type boat, but to rely upon monies that are not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't- When there's
Like
those are
in
for
a couple of
rainy
years,
days.
we had it working for the Forest Service, now we had money coming in to help some of that stuff, now we have, stuff like that. You're not guaranteed every year, you're gonna get a little job. And,
Let me go spend some time with
Alright.
keep an open
Thank you.
mind. It's their turn to propose back to you. So let's, give me some time, let me go through some things. And I'll be back down. If I'm you know, if I'm like 45 minutes, I'll come down and talk to you and say, we're still talking. Okay. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Thank you, guys,
Thanks.
for all the information. Good to see. Since they started negotiations. I get that. Come here, wait. They've got a lot better idea budgetary of what they're up against, what we're all against. We're in this together right now, trying to get it figured out. They do want to get it figured out, right? They don't really know where they're gonna end up. I think they understand that their proposal probably has been an unrealistic expectation. We went through Butte Silver Bow, and I know quite a bit about that contract. And they talked about the difference in pension as far as what they pay there and what they pay in Butte. And the biggest difference is pension. They're like $3.50 an hour in their pension. But there's one thing that I made clear to them. And it's the same thing that applies here. When it comes to those union trusts, it has to be an employee contribution. Otherwise, it's illegal. And I asked them, I said, when did you negotiate that 38 cents? And they're not sure. You know, it could have been 10, 12 years ago. But somewhere along the line, they have agreed to take that 38 cents out of their pay. Otherwise, it would be illegal. The contributions are illegal. So we made it through that. Okay, there's the biggest difference between Butte and all your other comparisons. Okay, I told them the same thing that I told you. If we get into these comparisons and we want to argue money, and we want to argue hard numbers, whether they're accurate, whether they're not, and if we want to spend a lot of time with that, honestly, I'm not going to be able to help you. The best thing I can do is go back to Helen and send you a list of fact finders. And like I told them, you're 6 months out. And it's probably going to cost you a minimum of 10 grand, maybe more than that. Because I know right now that fact finders or arbitrators, they're charging travel expenses and everything else. Okay. I don't want to go down that road, and I think they understand they don't want to. The comparisons that we do have and the information that we went through, I think it's legitimate and there are numbers to look at. I don't think, given the 9 that you gave me this afternoon, I don't think that we're in there. We're in the ballpark, right? There is that $3.50 pension difference in Beaver. But I know where that came from. Those people have given up those wages over the years. And it's not the last 10 years, it's the last 30 years. That contract has been around for a long time. Okay. In the end, they came up with 3 options for the first year. And it's because they don't really know what direction to go. They know an increase in rate is going to accrue. And they know that that's a big question right now that may not work. They understand the PILT money now. And they understand that it's poor budgeting to pay off wages with that PILT money because it may not be there. And I explained to them, I know one county for sure that was paying wages on that PILT money. And they said, I know when they made the agreement, the commissioner said, here's the deal, you want that wage, fine. But if the PILT money disappears, we're riffing. And it happened. They had to get rid of 2 positions. So they understand that and they know that it's not a threat, it happens. What they came up with an option was a 5% increase, retro to October 1st, which is about where you were, right? Option 2 was $1 per hour increase, wages in addition to COLA. And then option 3 was a $2,000 one-time lump sum payment paid in a separate check, which is non-accruing,
Now, how much?
$2,000.
How's that even legal? Giving
Why,
them
why is it not
2,000.
illegal? Why is it?
What, well, is that considered like a bonus? They're asking for a bonus?
It's a $2,000 one-time on check, and I've seen it done in counties. Did you do it to other county employees already? For the elected officials?
No.
I thought I just discussion that they got a one-time advance.
No.
There's some statute, or she talked about the
Okay,
statute.
so the only thing in what's in the statute, that no one got a $2,000 one-time deal. Not anyone. I don't know where they're getting that from.
And I don't know if they did. You know, they're just looking for an avenue, number one, that's not gonna accrue. They're looking for something that counteracts increases in gas and increases in everything else that they're seeing. They're looking for a fair way out.
What about the rest of us? The rest of the county?
They want to see it now versus looking at this year, next year.
And I can't speak for everybody in the
Right.
county. I can't. Right now.
Well,
it's
and
not
when
the
what, we have to speak for all county employees, right? Do you see where we're coming from?
What was it?
I've,
5%.
And what was the wage on?
I'm
the
gonna
second
give you
one?
this
Oh,
and you
okay.
guys can make copies. Let's do that. I'm not gonna trade it. Can we make a copy of this? And then,
You do a few.
you know, where they're at is they're having a hard time accepting the 1.2 and that's it. And I don't know if I can get them off of that. Okay. They're looking for some creative way to put this thing to bed.
That's what they say all the time, every time we negotiate, they always pull that. They always say that. One time, but then the next year, it's they want more and more and more. We don't get more and more.
The 2,000 lump sum, is that part of a 2-year agreement or what was that part of?
That would be for the first year. And then the second year, and she'll give us. They basically went with Naples increase. I think it's 5.9 and they're asking for 6 in the second year.
Maple's what?
5.9 increase
Where'd they get-
for this year.
Where'd they get to make? those
Where'd they hear
money?
that? Mako didn't get a 5.9 increase, recommended.
What did they get for 2021? What's their recommended?
It's not, haven't done it yet. It's the
So what,
year's not.
like we
year's not
explained
done.
before, we get recommendations from Mako and it came from 2020 and it was 1.2. And
What's
so
their
that's
next
what we
one?
gave.
That's-
Well,
Yes.
it will be more next time, obviously, because inflation isn't gonna go
Yeah.
through
They're
the
gonna
roof.
wait- they wait
But
till-
we don't know that. We
Yeah.
don't know what it's gonna be, so we have to wait till
And
next year.
I think they probably looked into that and found out, they said it was 5.9.
They don't have a clue.
You might want to look into that. And I think the second year is probably an option. You know, maybe we try it for a first year agreement, a 1-year agreement. Put it for wages the second year and see what Nico's gonna pay.
Yeah, what I would say on that though is Mako recommended for the second year. But what if they recommend 10%? And I don't think it would.
You know, they got that 5.9 because the feds came out with the 5.9 just the other day.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah, but they, you don't know what's gonna be.
no,
because they look for Montana and not a nationwide one.
Yeah, I mean, but you
Yeah.
don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think inflation is gonna go more than that.
And what they said for the second year, you can read this too. 6% increase to wages or whatever other employees get for COLA, whichever is greater. This increase is
That
based
would be
on
greater.
what will be the previous year.
So they.
And
get
that's
6
open for negotiations.
That they get 6% plus whatever forward.
Well, that's, they're probably depending on. If Mako comes back with a 4%, 5%, that's probably what you'll give for COLA next year, right?
Well, you have to look at the.
Well,
look at the-
yeah. we have to go through the compensation board.
They'll give for, yeah, make the recommendation for the elected official. Usually they go, the commission goes along with it. They're part of the compensation board, so they'll go along with it for the other employees as well.
Yeah, I understand that. They're trying to make more, they are. I told them, I said, anything that accrues right now, that has an annual accrual, it's not right about. There, you know, I said, I made an example of the dam, how you don't know what those expenses are gonna be. I said, there are obviously other expenses that they're worried about. They went into Pill, they know how much is sitting there. And I said, first thing you have to consider is not all of that is eligible for wages, right? And I said another thing, it's just poor budgetary insight to budget 100% of your budget. That doesn't give you any room, and that's when I gave them that example. You want to budget that close, fine, but when things go sideways, you're laying people off.
Well, all appeal it could be, but yeah, it's used, but it's not, wouldn't be wise at all.
No.
Say,
There's nobody that budgets at 100%. And I'm not saying this is it, but it's an idea. It's options. I think the big thing to me right now, and it's the big step, is they are off of that increase of the wages that are going to accrue year by year. Things you're gonna have to pay work comp on. And that increase, longevity's based on it, everything's based on it. If they work on a lump sum, that takes care of some of those added expenses for gasoline increases. All those little things that you and I experience just as well.
So I tell the
But-
commission if they're gonna agree to that, then should agree to it to every employee on an amount there. Not that that's 2,000, I'm not pushing it all for one, but it should be, if it's given to them, it should be given to all them.
You know, all the
Yeah.
county employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys want me to give you a little time? You want to discuss it amongst yourselves? I don't have a problem.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, all right.
Well, you just be waiting out here and we come get you, or?
15 minutes?
Okay,
So we want to be back on,
This off.
or everybody not?
so
But I'll give you guys till about 25 after.
Okay.
That'd be good.
there's people
Thank you.
on.
Hey, we're back on,
How much is 5%? That's the total.
do we have to reject this or we can just make them?
You could do it, yeah, and
Or just-
a counter offer too, if you want to.
I'll make a motion that we reject all three options, the 5% plus the 1.2% COLA, the $1 an hour increase, and option three, the $2,000 one-time lump sum. And we offer them cost of living at 1.2 like everybody else got.
And the rejecting 2 years, 6% of 2 year, year two.
And rejecting that. That's my motion.
Six weeks of county, now however you want to go out and contract everything out.
Is anybody second? You made a motion?
Oh, what was the motion?
Reject all their offers, all their counter offers, and we offer
I'll
1.2
second.
for 2 years,
2
or
years.
1 year, or and then whatever.
No,
COLA is
for one
next
year, for 1 year,
yeah.
yeah, and then whatever it is next year. Go for the cost of living next year. So those in favor, say aye.
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 So now you'll ask us what we wanna give back.
Show that.
COLA.
What's that?
Now you'll come back in and say, well, you have to. What do you wanna get?
Are we still wanting to get
1.2.
40? Still applying for 40?
Where'd he go?
The COLA.
He said he'd be back in and between that and not too.
So, right, the
Mhm.
COLA, our back ends the COLA. 1.2.
Raised them up above what the comparable counties were to get them in order then. And the thought was to, yeah, to do step and COLA from then on, so the increase in hourly rate just, I don't know.
Yeah, we can't accept it, any of this, so we just made a motion to give them the 1.2, and we'll look at it again next year, and whatever Mako comes up with for next year, that's what we do. For them and the rest of us, it's not fair, this is not fair to everybody.
They're gonna say they're not negotiating for everybody else. I understand where you guys come from.
But we are, they're not, we are.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna have another counter proposal.
It's up to them.
Like I said, I don't think there's much area in that. You know, I think if.
Well, we just can't, I mean, we didn't plan for this in the budget, I mean,
Yeah,
We can't
I
do it.
understand. I'll take it back and I'll tell them exactly what you told me. I don't think that they'll counter themselves, you know, if there's no movement down here, they probably won't counter.
I think the commission would agree to arbitration, but I'd have to, yeah, talk to them about it.
Is there arbitration in your agreement?
No, but there's a statute on it. Yeah, you'd have to be mutually agreed upon, so
Right.
yeah, they'd have to agree upon it.
Yeah.
What did they have for proof up there besides
Right.
working off of our stuff? 'Cause I know they never bring nothing. They never, and I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, but it's never ever, it's always us that has to supply everything.
You mean the Butte Silver Bow cost of living increases?
Yeah, I mean, just,
I don't think it's been Silverboat cost of living. I think it's, they had 3 contracts up there, and I think 2 of which they received from you. And they
See,
were
that's the
Teamster
thing.
agreements,
They had what?
2 contracts, union contracts, and I think they were Teamster agreements. And I think they said they received them from you guys.
Who said?
Oh, yeah, they were in that packet, yeah. The,
Oh, from
the
Silver
current
Bow?
agreement, then the Anaconda Pier Lodge, and then the
Yeah.
Silver Bow.
but I mean, that's the thing, we gotta supply everything and show everything, and they just throw out numbers and don't have no reason why or facts. Right?
Well, they were saying that the cost of living increased here in Phillipsburg more than it did in Butte. Just one-
Where are they getting those figures?
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store, the prices are still the same. Where are they getting those figures?
I can ask them.
Yeah,
Groceries are higher.
where's the figures coming from where the cost of living is higher? Because Huffman's Grocery has sales on all items. You can buy things cheaper at Huffman's, and sometimes you can go to Anaconda and get things. I mean, cost of living for your power bill that hasn't increased in Phillipsburg versus. And on this Silver Bow thing, it says $3.56 an hour in health insurance. What is this? Do they break down? What does that mean?
That's a benefit. That's probably what Silverboat was paying into their,
So
Health
giving
insurance.
them the $3.56 instead of paying for their insurance or what?
no, I think that's just a comparison.
And it says,
That's just a contract.
right,
There's
It's the amount they
difference.
pay towards the premium. Is that-
So they have to pay towards the premium. The person,
That's
No,
what,
I think that's what you.
so what does ours break down to per hour?
what, well, if you took it, what would you take? So,
It's $11.80 a month.
Divided into 1,157.
Yeah, and you're right, statutorily, I think.
so we're paying $6.80 an hour.
Shit.
Get copied
Yeah,
out.
so arbitration. be the-
$6.65 an hour is what ours breaks down.
You got $6.55?
It's an agreement.
I came up with 6.80,
So we're paying.
but mine's a little
It's
bit
11.
calculated.
Hey, hey,
So I
hey,
did,
hey.
I divided by
Different.
28.
Just the-
We're paying
And I
six.
didn't
to
probably.
Resolve
okay,
all the issues.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
28,
basically.
Hey, hey.
11.52.
Scott has the floor.
We're paying $6.65 compared to what you're paying $3. So.
And we didn't, here's what I told them, and I told them the same thing I told you. If we get into comparing every single budget,
Yep,
and
6.60.
we get into area standards, and we start looking at every county and comparing everyone and coming up with these hard figures, we're not gonna get it done in 5 hours. I'm not gonna be able to help you today, and that's what I told you. And if that's the case, and that's what we want to do, really, fact finding might be your best option.
Or just
arbitration.
arbitration, have a finally resolved, but you guys want, I mean, arbitration would be a final resolution. We have a church in the fact findings, but that fact finder then determines all these, the cost of living and that, but that doesn't resolve, it doesn't resolve the issue. Yeah, if they would agree to arbitration, the commission.
So do we want to go to arbitration then?
Well, what are you saying? They're not gonna move up there. We can't pay that. There ain't no way. We don't have the money.
Like,
I just soon just park everything and
I mean,
The only thing, our big
Okay.
issue right here is we have to be fair to all county employees. And I don't know, this right here just kind of gives the basics of what
I'm setting one.
they've received. Did you get one?
It's
Okay,
sitting
but
right
that's
on the drain stuff.
since 2012. And they've received
way more.
3
than that.
separate wage increases over and above any other county employee. And 2 new pay matrices separate from the county matrix. And then they also have an additional road employee, which takes care of some of the load for their work. I mean,
But that's probably out of your necessity, not theirs.
No, they had to get another one to help. They needed help. So,
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
it's not really
saying,
ours.
and that's your necessity too.
but I would think just bringing up the issue of arbitration, if they'd share the cost in arbitration, get it finally resolved. But that was my thought.
I can go back and throw these things and see if they've got any other ideas, but they would be countering themselves. Because you're not, I mean, there's no movement here. You're just giving them the same thing.
Well, they haven't moved at all. I mean, that's just, they've been set on this big, this $2,000 thing should be through right out. They can't use that sheriff's thing. And I know where some of it's coming from because I've heard from on this.
Yeah.
COVID.
I
money,
think-
And that's not, this isn't due with that. I know they said that up there because they've been running their mouths around town and stuff, so. This stuff is just getting,
Well, and you know, I think from my point of view, it doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong. It was creativity to me because I get what you're talking about. You pay $1 an hour. It's not that you're paying $1 an hour from here on in. You're paying what accrues from that dollar in the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they went to that one-time payout. Then we're not dealing with that accrual, at least, right? It's some movement. So, yeah, as far as the comment, you know, they haven't moved any, I think that's some movement. And then, don't quote me. But their last proposal, did they come in at 2% or 2.5 or?
There's $2.
$2
plus-
an hour the first year and $2 more an hour the second year. So
they
Plus
came
COLA.
down
So
a
it'll be
little bit.
$4 increase the second year.
Is that in addition to moving up their matrix?
moving up there.
They are moving up the matrix.
And then they.
So
want that-
changing,
state that.
changing the matrix, yeah.
So that changes the matrix and then it gets bumped, even there, it gets bumped up higher.
I get that.
When they get their increase, the matrix changes. That's why it's gotta be done on a percentage rather than an actual amount.
What do they say about all the stuff that we are getting? They just expect that?
They went through the other contracts, you know, and then once again, they do compare them to those other agreements. And they're, you know, most of the county, like their big hotspot was the sheriff's department. And that is a wedge. You know, the fact that they did receive more of an increase, and they said, we can go back and forth and back and forth. I understand that, but we're negotiating today, where do you wanna go? So,
And I'll go back and see if they want to arbitrate and they can pay half of it. As far as I'm concerned.
So they're saying they didn't feel it was fair that the sheriff by law got a raise, and so they should get.
well, I think what their argument was is it was over statutory, which you can do that, I understand.
It was
You're not
somewhat
limited.
over statutory in there, but it was, you know, the thought was give it some hazard pay. And it was only, it was, I think, right in the 2,000 range there, one time. I mean, yeah, gets an extra too, but not every year he's getting that.
Who's getting that?
Sheriff. Compensation Board recommended it based upon that statute. I don't know the exact amount.
So it's not ending up $2,000. Where was that thing?
Yeah. But that was only the sheriff. Yeah. Who got shot at here with bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't even really be using sheriff. I don't think that's fair.
None of us,
Yeah,
none of
no,
us are getting shot
Apples
at.
and oranges, it's two different kinds of jobs.
That's not really fair to use. Then you bring a whole nother bunch in that aren't even.
Well, that's what negotiations are about, you know.
Yeah.
You try to find some
Yeah.
common ground. I think they did make some. movement. It's pretty tough. Like I said, when I walked in here, there's not much ground between the two.
So October, is this what you're talking about? October 1st, it went into effect for the sheriff,
Yeah,
and he's getting 31 cents more now. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
Must be.
that'd be, it was allowed by that statute. The compensation board could have recommended more than that, but yeah, that's a reasonable
I
amount.
don't think anybody's debating whether
Yeah.
it was illegal or,
Yeah,
that's not the debate. It's just the increase.
Yeah, and it's like you said, apples, oranges.
yeah, the history behind that statute was hazard pay,
Oh, I see. Okay.
to set, why it's separated out. Yeah, so you all good with seeing if they would go to arbitration and
Yeah.
pay half the cost?
I can go back and see if
Alright.
there's anything else,
Oh, okay.
you know, if you guys, there's no counter proposal. Just to deny.
It's that 1.2.
Okay,
All right, I don't think I'll be long this time.
All right.
Okay.
The union was willing to go to fact finding on the arbitration. The union is willing to go fact finding on the
Now you are.
All right, the union is willing to go to fact finding any arbitration as a commission of Granite County request. The county can pay for all costs associated with this process. It is at the request of the county. The union shall pay for its own legal representation of the costs that the union incurs for representation in meetings. The union is surprised the county is willing to spend potentially thousands of dollars on this process instead of investing in employees and local community and spending these tax dollars. Well, the thought was hopefully a one-time arbitration would potentially be able to see, or maybe the county needs to see what the realities of it is. Or I'll make copy.
They don't want to pay for another project. See, they don't want to ever give nothing. This is bullshit. Sick of it. I don't like it. Let it go on strike. I don't care.
What on your agenda next week to discuss, or you want to discuss it right now?
What?
The arbitration,
Right? Think about it till next week.
put it on your agenda next week.
What do you think?
Yeah, we can do it next week.
Yeah.
Are you still on?
Yeah.
All right, you could do, yeah, motion to,
Just motion to table it for next week.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
and we'll get back to it next week then.
All right. Could you let me know? as well
Yeah.
what goes on?
Do you want that version of it?
You know, I'm gonna get all this
Okay.
information back to you guys.
Okay.
And yeah, just let me know. I'm sorry it didn't go better. Knew that it wasn't just ground in the middle, just from what little discussion I've had. It's not over.
Did you
Yeah,
talk
thanks for
to him?
trying.
Did you talk to him before we all got together today?
No,
Yes.
not any more than I talked to you.
This is one deal we're gonna show them as well, but I can email it. So, look at.
So can we answer back? The county is surprised that the union,
Yeah, I told them, I said,
That's not,
I'll go down and just tell them what you're,
because I thought we were gonna get into negative shit. That's pretty negative to us.
Yeah.
That's not right, especially when you sat there and said that this is not gonna get into a big old brawl. Right now, for them to say that, and the public really not knowing what they get paid and everything, you know, that's not fair for us. That wasn't right for them to put that to us.
and
I'm
I didn't want to
serious.
read it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
They should
I
never
did.
did that. It pissed me off.
well, at least you have a week to
Think
think
about
about it, yeah.
think it over. Like I said, negotiations aren't over yet. There's still room for proposals or counter proposals.
Well,
Okay,
thanks for, yeah, thanks for, yeah.
Yeah, you guys, I'm sorry I didn't do more.
okay, well, thanks. So we're gonna leave now.
Adjourned.
We're adjourned.
adjourned. Okay.